Hello, this is Les Breeding. I want to share with you some ideas and thoughts about teaching during COVID. Many of us are doing this. And at our school, we actually have a 5 week distance learning period, but in mid October, we go back to the classroom. And we are thinking that we will have about half of our students in class and then half continuing online. And as teachers, we are going to be a little bit ambidextrous. We are going to teach both our in class students and our distance learners. Now, I teach technology, I'm in a computer lab. Um, I have it pretty well thought out how I am going to approach that because it's probably going to be about twice as hard as it is right now because we're going to have not just distance learners, but we're going to have in class learners. So I think it's going to be interesting. I'm up for the challenge, but it's not going to be easy. Now, just general thoughts about teaching during COVID, I am very pleasantly surprised. Last spring, we after spring break, we did not get to come back to the campus. And to me, it became fairly obvious during that last week before spring break that COVID was going to overtake everything. And um, South by Southwest had been canceled a couple of weeks earlier. The NCAA canceled March Madness. Can you believe the courage it took to do that? The NBA suspended their schedule. Big things were happening. It was pretty obvious that we were going to go into a distance learning mode, but we didn't have time to think it out and work it out. And distance learning, we tried to do a good job, but we were not organized enough to really pull it off. This fall, completely different ball game. At least in our school district, we have a very well thought out plan. I have 90% of my students attending every day. They, they attend as good in distance learning as they do in class. Of course, I had one child today that she was still in her bed while she was taking the class. So, anyway, it was interesting. Um, but I have been pleasantly surprised with how well we have been able to do with distance learning. Now, there are a lot of resources on distance learning, COVID distance learning. So that was my topic. I stuck it into Google just to see what would happen. And of course, I've got 877 million results. It took them a whole second to do that. But as you can see, there is a lot of thinking. UNESCO is thinking about distance learning. A lot of folks, Google Education, of course, is doing it. We use Google Classroom as our learning management system, and they have rolled out some new things with it. Thank goodness they also rolled out Google Meet, and that has been very successful for us. There have been times I've been unhappy with Google, but they are getting better and better and better. But lots of interesting resources that are available to us. Um, now, one of the things that I think is most interesting about this is that we're learning huge lessons from distance learning. And actually, across the board, across the whole economy, we are learning a lot of lessons. I think that there are going to be a lot of people that are not going to go back to the office. I think that law firms and other downtown office users are going to rethink buying or renting, floor after floor after floor of skyscrapers. I think they're going to decide that, I don't know if that makes sense. Maybe we should have, kind of use a we work model, have our um, lawyers working from home. And when they need to come to the office to meet with clients, have conferences, local conferences, we ain't going to send anybody on the plane anymore because we're just going to use a teleconference. Why would we spend thousands to go across country when we can just do it right here in our office? I think there's going to be huge changes. And in education, I hope that there will be also. It has changed the way that I think about my classroom. And I've been teaching in a blended model for quite a long time. But I have gotten so many new ideas that I hope that I will be able to think of more, hear of more from our learning communities, and be able to implement many of these good ideas. So, um, distance learning has been a challenge, but I think that there have been some pleasant surprises. Now, within my slideshow, and of course, my slideshow is pretty meager, right? Sorry. Um, but I saw this quite a long time ago on Twitter, and I saw it again today, and I thought it would be worth sharing. Now, I am going to not include this. Let's see, how should I do this? I'm going to include this as a separate YouTube video on the page, but I'll play a little bit of it. I just think it is so cool that this teacher teaching kindergarten to students he has not met. That is one of the biggest challenges. I have not met any of my seventh graders. And that is the biggest challenge. I mean, how am I know their icons. I do not know their faces. So it's a very interesting kind of a situation. But this fellow is teaching his kindergarteners how to do distance learning. And if there is a bigger challenge, I don't know what it is. But you should watch this video. It is really cool. So I'm going to play just a minute of it. And I'm going to post it on my page so you can see it. But this guy is cool.
Very good. And what was my name? Very good. So that's our greeting. All right. And then the next part of our morning meeting is our morning message. All right. So this is our morning message. So every morning we'll have a morning message. Right. And eventually you guys are going to learn to read this morning message all by yourself. All right. But today I'm going to read it for you. Okay. So when I'm reading, I'm going to need you to put your hands on your lap. Sit up nice and tall. All right, make sure you got your ears on. All right, and I'm going to read the morning message. So I want you to look at the morning message.
This is really cool. Anyway, I'm going to leave you now. This is actually 54 minutes. You're getting the whole thing there. And I will post it on my page. Y'all have a great day. Thanks for joining me for a few minutes. And I guess we should turn him off. And I look forward to having more conversations with you. Y'all have a great day. Bye-bye now.